I never understood anybody who said they wanted to be captain. I had the respect of Martin.
Yeah.
And I'd earned that because he was not very nice to me when I first got to England. I struggle to talk about it because it makes me a bit weird, but I think when you get so close to something, you only can touch it and feel it, smell it and see it. You physically could not give any more and ask any more of any of the players. I'm just proud of that. There are things and memories from that which far outweigh from 03.
I can only remember the anthem. Something like
Like sticky up on arms now,
yeah.
a little bit. It was truly magical. No other sport in the world could have done that. That would be the moment that I would want to go back to and just feel again.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Good, The Bad, The Rugby Diary of a Captain, brought to you by our good friends at Honda. In this series we sit down with English trailblazers who have brought home that trophy and led England through thick and thin, the power of dreams. Today we are joined by a man who's captained his nation 15 times, led them to some very, very famous wins and built a career defined by his pride in wearing, so much his pride, I think he even has a tattoo of it on his arm, of wearing the red rose. He is, of course, the one and only Raging Bull, but two other people known as Phil Vickery. So, come on, take me back to the beginning. Cornwall.
Yeah.
Did you do rugby at school, or how old were you when
I didn't start playing rugby until I went to secondary school, so 11.
11.
Yeah. I always watched rugby. Watched Five Nations.
Because did your dad play and then your brother? Did you?
No, Dad. No sport in my family at all. My brother played.
Right.
My brother was a brilliant rugby player, actually. That's probably the reason. I went to school. There's a guy, my PE teacher called Mr. Opie, actually taught my dad. And I remember rugby season started and I hadn't got a clue. I didn't know the rules of the game. I didn't know how to play. I'd never played the game. And Mum always told me to stick my hand up if I don't know, if I've got any questions. And I was quite a big old lump. And I put my hand out and said, "Sir, I don't know what to do." And he said, put his arm around me, he said, "Don't worry." He said, "I'll help you." And
Bend over and push.
yeah, it was a bit of that. And I just started playing rugby at school, really enjoyed it, loved being around just the boys and getting stuck in, and got welcomed into Bude Rugby Club. Can we help? Yeah, nurtured along. There was no age group systems then because we didn't have any juniors or minis. So I was actually training with the Colts, which I think was like under 20s or whatever it was. No, so I was only 13, yes. But they kind of looked after me. Brother looked after me and his mates, and yeah, I was with the big boys at a very early age. Loved being around it, and that's where I fell in love with rugby. My first real proper captain was a guy called Tyler Collins, who was at Bude. Was he a very good rugby player? Don't know. But goodness me, when you're in the changing room with him doing his captain's talks, he's emotional, he cared deeply about you as an individual, but he just loved the game and he had a massive impact on me. I think you underestimate at an early age when the people you're surrounded with, the impact that has on you. It was just a brilliant time of my rugby career and probably the most enjoyable. Just because you're free and learning and it's just about your mates and getting out there and playing rugby and expressing yourself.
And then, so when you came up to sort of Gloucester, what was that, 95?
Yeah, 95, 96.
Was farming a big part, and was that a big decision to come up and play at Gloucester rather than staying on the farm and doing what?
I can remember, so I went to Redbrew for a season. I was, 17 at the time, and playing with first team, which was crazy really now looking back. But I was nurtured, one of the legends and heroes of Cornish rugby, well, two of them actually, a guy called John May, loosehead prop, and Richard Keese, tight head. They kind of looked after me. and sort of nurtured me and just were on the sidelines. And I just had such an amazing time there. And I remember Bath were actually trying to get me to go to Bath, but I didn't want to leave home.
Yeah.
And I remember Richard Hill, scrum half Richard Hill,
Yeah.
he's in charge of whatever, and he called me because I remember Mum shouting out, "Phil, Richard Hill's on the phone." And I said, no, I didn't want to go. And the reason I came to Gloucester more than anything was because through the England trials and school systems, the Phil Greening, hooker.
Yeah.
So I became really good friends with him and his mum and dad. And they were really helpful to Mum with travel. And they said, look, if you ever want Phil to break the journey, stick him on the train, we'll pick him up at Gloucester, look after him, and we'll go on from there. So it was almost like I had a surrogate mum and dad, and I felt safe. And then when they said about coming up, they got me a job on a local farm, milking cows, train on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and I arrived, and that's what happened. And within 6 months, the game went professional. I got offered a professional contract, and it just...
And then you get paid to have fun.
Yeah, you're getting paid to have fun. And within 30-something games, I was running out England versus Wales at Twickenham for my first cap. I remember being sat on the bench against France. It's funny, who was I talking to about it yesterday? Were you excited being on the bench? Were you desperate to get on the field? I could have been Alex Cuthbert when he was sat on the bench. He said, I couldn't wait to get on. I said, I couldn't have been opposite. I remember being sat in the Stade France with their front row of Christian Califano, Frank Tournaire, Rafi Ibanez. And I'm sat on the bench thinking, absolutely bricking it, but hoping that I don't get on. And that's a dreadful thing to say, because back then as well, you didn't join in line-outs. I didn't know all the calls. I didn't, I was thinking, oh, God, please don't let me get on. I'm scared. and
the raging boy, ladies and gentlemen, was scared.
And then we lost, and that following week, I got selected to start. And against Wales at Twickenham. Oh, it was amazing. I don't think you can ever explain it to people, really.
Was that still the CFAX days back then? How did you find out when you got picked to start the game? Do you remember?
Teletext, was it? And those kind of things. I think I did get a call from...
Because Clive had obviously taken over in 97.
Yeah. Clive gave me a call and talked to me about it, and then it was just the reality sort of setting in about it's actually going to happen. John Mitchell was forwards coach at the time, and I can remember doing like 45 scrums and collapsing and not being able to move and throwing up in the corner somewhere. But
we did a show with Mitch, and I was like, you need to have changed. That you're head of the coaching the England women's. You need to have changed your coaching techniques. He was like, yes, I have, because I was like. Sandhurst used to be
brutal.
PTSD of Sandhurst, doing John Mitchell training sessions.
He had a big influence actually on me. The more when you retire, you sort of reflect a lot more. He had a really big impact on me. I really liked John.
So let's go through the games that you did captain. Do you remember them in particular? The first one in 2002 or not?
I mean, yeah.
And did you always want to be a captain?
No, this is going to sound terrible now, but I never understood anybody who said they wanted to be captain. Because why would you want to be a captain? Because I just don't get that. It's something which is bestowed upon you, and someone sees something in you which is worthy of leading.
Yeah.
And I never had any ambitions. I was never picked to be... I might have had, like, coach's player or something.
Yeah.
Like with Colts, when I was a big fat kid, really. It was a bit of a sympathy vote or whatever it might have been. But never really in it. Was never... Not posh, don't talk posh. Went to comprehensive school. Farmer's son. Bit weird, bit aloof. So it was never really on the radar, and it never bothered me at all. Yeah. I don't really care. It's I'm here, I'm going to do whatever. It doesn't make me any more motivated. And obviously being captain at Gloucester, so you're kind of, you're gradually building into something. As you know, I get quite emotional. And 2002, the reality was Clive knew, big year coming up. The Rugby World Cup's not far away. The guys who've been on a Lions tour, 2001, guys that played relentlessly, 99 World Cup through 2000, 2001, need resting. So take a second team over to Argentina, and would I captain the team? Yeah, of course I would. And we were sent off with all the right intent, with some brilliant guys, but no one really knew what was going to happen. And I remember arriving in Argentina. There was massive demonstrations going on. Something had just collapsed. The economy had collapsed. I can't remember in Buenos Aires. There's like 12-lane roads going right down through the middle. It was full of people, demonstrations. And I just remember one of the security guys saying to us, "Do not go out of the hotel. Do not leave the hotel." I was like, right, understood. There's stuff being burnt. It's almost like riots. I'm thinking, oh my God. So preparation, we did predominantly on the rooftop of the hotel and did walkthroughs of our game plan of what it is we were going to do. There was guys who were knackered at the end of the season. Yeah. I remember going to the game on the bus. I remember St. George's flags being burnt. I remember bricks being thrown at the bus. I remember getting out at the stadium, walking in, and then it was one of those ones where you walk down under a tunnel and then come up into the stadium, and there's a 30-metre high wire mesh fence all the way around the stadium. I remember saying to the guy, why the wire fence? And they said, that's to keep you safe. And he meant it.
Yeah. So how do you, obviously being captain then, how do you, and as you say, not leaving the hotel, not being able to maybe do all the prep work that you want to do on the pitch. So as a first captain role, obviously getting the guys the right mindset to forget about all the exterior stuff that's going on. Do you remember what you said, or was it?
For me, it goes back to basics. I'm a true believer. It doesn't matter who's captain. It doesn't matter, the captaincy, leadership, call it what you like. It's a personal preparation. And if you need fancy dressing rooms, you need fancy gear and fancy coaches and fancy prep to get yourself ready to represent your country, and at the time, Queen and country, God save the Queen. If you need fancy dancy stuff, I'm not really interested in you. So for me, it probably was in my slipstream as far as your back's against the wall. You're on foreign soils. You know what it's like being an Englishman. You're hated by everyone anyway. But the hatred there was at just a level. And I even like now, that is amazing. And you find out who's got it when you go to places like that.
So that's probably perfect for you.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying I know you talk in hindsight because you won the game, but it's just brilliant. That's
like I was saying. I was going to read a quote from Sinbad. Obviously, James Simpson Daniel, who's a good mate of both of us. He was like, before games, Vicks used to be able to make you feel like you could run through a brick wall. The thing was, he would have always run through the wall first. So I think that's probably quite apt for that scenario that you were in.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even when you look at that team, I can't remember everybody, but I remember a back row, Alex Sanderson. Alex was a phenomenal rugby player. I know he got his injuries and stuff, but God, he was a brave, hard-nosed. Nothing's going to scare him.
Adonis, he was.
Lewis Moody.
Just a nutter.
If you want to go to battle with somebody, there's your boy. Yeah. Might not always get it right, but geez, what a fella to go with. I think Joe Worsley. Joe gets a lot of stick and always got a lot of stick. He is a brave, tough human being, Joe. Yeah. He's one of those kids that I love because if you told him to do something, he'd just do it.
I'm going to see how many you can name of the players.
Right. So Joe Worsley, Lewis Moody, Alex Sanderson. I think Ben Kay was in the second row, so we were all right for line-out because we were sorted. Was it Alex Codling?
Yeah.
Which was new. No one knew him. That was me, Mark Regan,
Tomo.
Andrew Sheridan. No, David Flatman.
Yeah.
Flats had a brilliant game.
Ronnie was on the bench.
Ronnie was on the bench. Half-backs would have been, I think it was Gomez. Was
Yeah.
it Charlie Hodgson?
Yeah.
Tim Stimson was playing somewhere on the wing.
On the wing.
Send us
God,
up.
there's some blast from the past.
I'm trying to think about London Irish. Was there a guy called Mikey Horak?
Yeah, Michael Horrocks was at fullback.
He was a tough bugger as well.
Jeff Appleford. Ben
Appleford.
Johnson.
Wow.
And Phil Christophers.
Phil Christophers.
Hair flick.
Yeah. Great hairdo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of good. Sorrel. Dave Walder. There you go. Hugh Vivian.
He's a tough boy. Hugh, good rugby player, Hugh.
Yeah.
Brilliant rugby player.
And so how, after the game, obviously you get the win after being down at half time. What was it like after the game?
Well, just incredible, for me, just incredibly proud, emotional, looking around the room. And I remember games like that more for, yes, we stood up to be counted and we gave everything, left nothing behind. It was brutal. I think the week before, they'd pushed the All Blacks or someone quite close. They were a good team and we'd bloody done it. And that group had chosen to do something about it. Not because it could have easily gone home with your tail between your legs, second team, lessons to learn, we're on a journey, all that rubbish that they come out with. I just remember being sat there and feeling incredibly proud because forever, regardless of whatever anyone says about you or thinks of you, you did it.
Did it at any point go through your mind, well, I've got 1 for 1. I know Jono's coming back. So I've done my job. Jono, you can have it back.
Yeah, no, it's not. I think,
or did it give you a taste that you wanted a bit more of it?
Yeah, no. Listen, I'll happily do anything, and I've always said this about rugby. When people say like, why did you play when you're injured, or why did you, if you're not 100% fit, why do you do that? If you're sat in a room and there's a chance to represent your country, and someone says, "Will you do whatever?" I stick my hand up because I would do anything to play for my country. And the thought. Was I worried or think I'm going to be England captain? No. Did it bother me that it was just, I knew it was going to be one game? No. Did we go and do a job? Yes. Did I have a little bit more understanding about how difficult and the weight that it puts on you?
I think that's a good point, isn't it? Of what, it's being captain is more than just leading your team out onto a field. And you don't really know that until you experience the bits. And I think even now, I look at some of the boys, you talk about Alex, and obviously, his career got cut short, but what he's doing as a manager and how deep he goes into conversations with his players. And, you've got to not be in everyone's business, but you've got to sort of know what's going on with everyone and know their emotions, know their emotional levels, because each player is different, right? And you've got to be able to figure them out.
And also you have to accept the fact that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So you can't hide and try and just be out the way of some people. You are there, some people won't like it, and you just have to accept the fact that you're not going to be for everybody. And the one thing I've always been quite comfortable with, I don't like upsetting people. I'm actually pretty non-confrontational. I don't necessarily like confrontation. I'm quite happy in my own skin. And actually something, I did a little charity event back in Red Roof, back 6-8 months ago. And the guy who actually coached me, I said about Terry Pryor, it was actually his brother Roger who coached me with the Colts there. And Roger was there. And I sat next to him and he said something to me that made me laugh so much inside. When sometimes you meet old coaches, they say, I knew you were going to make it. I knew you I knew you were going to make it because you're such and such, the way you pace or that you did this tackle.
No, I never said that to me.
Yeah, no, it's probably the wrong thing to say to you. He said something to me, opening gambit, where if we would sit down talking. I said, bloody lovely to see you, Roger, a good old catch up. He gave me a picture, actually, an old picture of playing for Red Roof Colts, which was brilliant. He said, I knew you were going to make it. And I thought, oh, here we go. What's he going to come out with? He said, I knew you were going to make it because you were always aloof. And I thought... That's
not where you think he's going to come from.
Yeah. And I said, what do you mean?
But how does that work?
Yeah, I said, what do you mean? He said, I always remember, he said, like, whatever the boys were doing, he said, you never followed the crowd. You were always very comfy in your own skin, doing your own thing, and it never bothered you that you weren't popular or didn't have to be seen to be with. And I always remember thinking to myself, that boy will go a long way.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of all the things they could have said. And
Of all the things people associate with rugby, aloofness is not the one that they'll go, hey, he'll succeed.
So leading on to talking also like captain and leading, it is everyone talks about it being, you're everyone's friend and it's actually a lonely place.
Yeah.
It's actually really lonely.
Coming into that, did you, obviously Jono was sort of skipper, Lol had been around, Lawrence had been around as well, so you had two very, very different captains.
Yeah.
So do you try and pick anything from Jono? Because everyone always asks what Jono was why he was the leader of men.
Yeah.
But I would say it would be very similar to you. He led from the front.
Yeah, I think for me, leadership or captaincy, whatever you want to call it, is very much about doing.
Well, that's what I would always respond to.
Someone will always argue about you as a player, whether how good you are, or doesn't be. But you've got to lead. And that's the one thing both those players had, Lawrence and Martin. Very different characters. Lawrence very emotional, team talk. My God, he'd back it up.
Yeah.
I got so much respect for him for that. And he'd back it up when the lights aren't on.
Yeah.
Wednesday nights, wet, away somewhere. Yeah. God forbid, he would back up. And Martin wasn't...
those Wednesdays.
Yeah. And Martin wasn't necessarily so much of a great orator, but he would lead and he did it. And you couldn't help but stand with him.
Yeah. I always like... For Jono, I knew that if I could play to the level that he was playing, I'd have one of my best games.
Yeah.
Because he always played to a level that was just
He just
so
always gave his best.
Yeah.
And you could argue whether that best was good enough sometimes, but just give your best. And that's something that I always, talk with, talking about with kids or whatever it is. Give your best. And that's all you can guarantee. And I think when you look around the room or you look around the changing room, you can talk about teams and whoever shouldn't be playing, give your all. And I can honestly say, I didn't always play very well. I always
do the uncoachable as well.
Yeah.
Do the work that it has nothing to do with talent. All you got to do is work hard. Do all that.
Give your all. And I always try to stay authentic to me. So I think you steal bits of whatever works for you. And as an identity, as a captain's leader, and I used to talk a lot. And I probably used to get too emotional in my captain's talk sometimes. But that was me. It was that was me. I didn't try and be somebody else and try and pretend to be something I wasn't. I'm emotional, always have been, and I hope I always will be, to the point where sports psychologists would go, Phil, you're too emotional. Emotion clouds judgment, clarity of thought. You shouldn't be so emotional. Well, I totally disagree. If you took my emotion away from me and took my identity away, who are you? The same as everyone else. And when you come up, I try and even say this today, if you come up against somebody who's exactly the same as you, the same stats as you, the same weight as you, the same strength as you, all the same abilities as you, what is going to set you apart, Michael? It'll be your determination, your tenacity, your character. That's what's going to step you apart. And I think as captain, if you can bring that out of as many people as you can and give them that opportunity to showcase why they're there, because ultimately you're in that environment because you're bloody good. We used to spend, for me, too much time talking about it because we're analysing. Didn't do this very well, didn't do that very well, need to get better at that. Line defence is a good deal, which is all good stuff, but actually you do forget that you are bloody good at what you do. And embrace the good and come on,
So... Because I know how emotional you are, and I love that side of you as well. Because I think very similar to you. That's all I've got is playing A for my my mum and dad, but there are so I wouldn't say that if you look at someone like Marrow now, I wouldn't say he would be a guy where I look at him and I go, he's playing on pure emotion. He plays. It feels his leadership style is more. It's a bit calmer. It's more curated than. Yeah. But is that just the difference in the game now? That
yeah, possibly. I don't know, but it wouldn't make an iota of difference to me, Mikey.
Yeah.
Because
I know,
you know, it's the great thing is, I hope he's being him.
Yeah.
And if he's being true to himself, that's all you can ever ask of a leader. And although I was tried to motivate and get emotional and do my bit as a captain and whatever it was, I used to say this all the time. It used to really frustrate me. Are you honestly telling me that you need me to motivate you to play for England? If that's the case, Michael, go home. Do you know what I mean? What are you doing here? Yeah, of course you want to feel
Bill,
part
you're
of it.
questioning
Of course.
me now.
No,
I was
no,
there.
but you know what I mean.
I was there for the right reasons.
But I just find that ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
You know, and yeah, of course you want. For me, you want someone who's there, but you've just got to be self-motivated. You're self-driven. Everyone talks about rugby being a team sport, and it is a wonderful, brilliant team sport. I think probably the greatest team sport there is out there. Don't fall into that trap of thinking that you can hide behind team. Actually, it's yourself. And do you know what? I love you, and I'd do anything for you on a rugby field. Well, I'd do anything off the rugby, but I would do anything for you on a rugby field to the best of my ability, to save your ass, to do whatever. If you made a mistake, I would never question it. But my God, my sole ambition, my only thoughts going into rugby game is what I am doing. Because I know if I do my job, it allows everyone else to do their job.
Well, that was the thing, wasn't it? We always had next job.
Yeah.
So, my best way of describing how I felt on a rugby field is I had to care about the guy to my left or my right.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't care about him, why would I bust my ass?
Yeah.
So that's why I always think that the friendship side of rugby and the emotional side of it,
Yeah.
you have to carry that emotion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be hanging out your arse and you might just give up just a little bit too early or not quite make. Whereas if I know I've got you on my inside, I'm going to also try and protect you by not giving you too much to do.
I'm going to be struggling.
Yeah. Stay tight. Or if I don't want to hang bowl shout to dry, or I don't want to, whoever it might be. Yeah. So I completely get you've got to do your own job.
Yeah.
And your own job then fits into the bigger piece of what the team job is.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move forward. Here's a little pop quiz for you. Who is the only other man, apart from Martin Johnson, who was captain England at the Rugby World Cup in 2003?
Me.
I was hoping you'd get it right. It's not a trick question.
I thought it was a trick question.
So Uruguay. So you captained against Uruguay.
Yeah.
I didn't play that game. I was
dropped.
I'm going to go rested for that one. I was involved in all the others, but not that one. I think at that point, being captain in that game, pretty easy. That group was just...
Well, it was, but I think from my perspective, it was probably the most nerve-wracking because I remember thinking to myself, why choose me? So many other guys in that squad.
2002?
Yeah, I know, but Lawrence was there, everyone, they play, there was so many people to choose from. Why choose me? And I don't know if you remember, I don't really remember, I know we weren't actually playing particularly well, were we? And it was getting quite...
So that was the last group game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was getting pretty intense, wasn't it? It was getting pretty, you'd been together a long time, and
Australian media was...
Yeah, and it was not toxic, but it was hard. It was grinding us a little bit. And I remember thinking to myself, well, you're all in here,
Yeah.
Exactly what we were talking about, earlier on. Just be yourself. Do what I do. Actually, something in that game I didn't realise until afterwards. I don't even know if anyone else ever knew this. I got substituted, I think, in 60-odd minutes or something or another, and I always wondered why. And Dave Allred came up to me after the game and said, "I'm really sorry." I said...
Got the number wrong.
I said, why is that, Dave? He said, I didn't mean to take you off. Clive wanted you to go to Loosehead and to bring Whitey on. So he wanted to test us. because we hadn't done that combination before, and he obviously got mixed up or whatever it was. And I said, "Oh, listen, mate, don't worry about
I'm
it.
happy to be off.
That was it.
I'll have a break.
I was thinking to myself, I'm happy to come off. I'd save myself. But it was it was an amazing day. It was an amazing moment for me personally. But I think, regardless of what everyone says about me as a player, I had people's respect, and probably for me more personally, as my own personal thing, I had the respect of Martin,
Yeah.
and I'd earned that because he was not very nice to me when I first got to England, because you had the Leicester connection, and it was like breaking into Alcatraz.
Yeah.
It was just hard work.
Yeah.
And then through time, through being patient, through...
So obviously there was Garforth.
Yeah, Garforth, Cockerell,
Yeah.
Roundtree, Johnson, obviously Benny, but Martin Corrie, Neil Back. It was a...
Very Leicester pack.
Yeah, and which was brilliant because they were dominant,
Yeah.
and they were a brilliant outfit together. But I'd earned his respect through, I think, playing and just getting down and listening, and I think he was happy for me. I know it sounds a bit weird, but if he's happy for me, I don't actually really care what anyone else thinks. It doesn't bother me.
I haven't really talked about this with you. Like, I don't ever really talk about this period because why would you ever, like 04, 05, 06, 07, where we obviously lost all those players and a lot of that leadership. So, you can always say there's one captain, but we always say through that 03 team there was leadership all the way through it.
And Martin says that.
Yeah. And I think, I think back to 04, we went to New Zealand in the summer with Clive. We lost both games quite convincingly, I think. And then Clive stepped back, and then suddenly didn't really have a good run of anything for about, till probably 2007 when you were back as captain. What do you think it was a lack of leaders that came from not blooding people enough through that period, or?
Well, I think we were a victim of our own success, weren't we?
Yeah.
Because we had such a solid team for such a long period of time. And actually the development of the squad, I think, always suffered because of what we had. And then suddenly that starts getting removed. And also, I think naturally, you can't just keep playing at that level and expect the same without having to people coming in. Then suddenly a coach leaves and structure and everything changes. And I don't know whether this is the right thing to say or not. It's just my own personal view. It's not a particular go at anybody or a criticism. Was there ever really a strategic plan in place for post 2003, 4, 5? I'm sure Clive had one. Whether or not it was ever implemented or was going to be implemented, I probably doubt it. So, but we sit here with hindsight.
Yeah.
We're all experts.
I always think it was hard that period because it was still really 2003 was amateur-ish, but Clive had taken it to a new level of professionalism. But people who weren't in that group were never brought up to that sort of speed. No. And then injuries. I remember sort of post 03, athletes were getting better, players were, and injuries just becoming a more and more thing. So you never get the same 15 on the field. It was just no continuity, and it just, how many captains did we go through in that period? Wilco was there.
Robbo
obviously
done a few.
Jason
Backy,
Robinson.
Neil Back done a few.
Yeah, Backy done a few. I think. Cozza.
I think he probably did. Yeah.
Dorse was a bit earlier, but he would have probably had another run at. No, did Dorse retire? I don't remember. So we ended up going through. Do you think a consistency in a captain or a leader help if you don't have that? Because obviously they went for Wilco, but then Wilco just had an injury nightmare post.
I think you need, like, for me, in any organisation, life, family, rugby, whatever it is, you need clarity of what are we doing. So that person in charge. And doesn't necessarily have to agree with it. Did we all agree with Clive and the way that we did things now? Do you ever agree with, same with any coach? But for me, there wasn't a defined where are we going. and then working from that. Yes, the injuries, and we probably suffered more than ever because of what we'd done previously, and people were just broken. And then because the experience wasn't coming through from the previous years of having so much consistency in that team, then suddenly you've almost got a little bit of a perfect storm. You've got a little bit of direction or problem. You've got a little bit of leadership problem. You've got a slightly more injury problem and a development problem. And suddenly, as we all know, when you're playing international rugby,
Margins are small anyway.
1 and 2 percenters are quite massive, and suddenly you start chucking in a 3 and a 4 and a 5
Yeah.
percenter. It's hard work, but also then you are there to be hit at as well.
Yeah.
The higher up the tree you go, you're there to be beat every single time. Yeah, everyone wants to beat England anyway because we're England and everyone dislikes us. But when you've got a badge around,
Sometimes it's always easier to chase as well, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, Clive was quite good, wasn't he? Because we'll all be on number one and all that sort of stuff. But when you're...
But I think, if I remember, for me personally, how do you keep pushing, developing? How do you keep that, not motivation is not the right word, but how do you keep pushing the boundaries when you can't keep up the top of the tree and, you win a Rugby World Cup and then suddenly you're back playing at Gloucester, which is amazing, but keep going again. And then suddenly Six Nations starts and I remember thinking, what's going on? Where am I? Where am I going? And it's it's not about saying you want sympathy, but it's just very, very hard to keep that level of performance where you getting your motivation from, what's your next steps, what does that look like, planning, the physical side of things, the mental side of things. It's hard. It was a very, very difficult period of time.
Yeah, and then Ash, obviously you went through. Robbo took over, then Robbo went, and then we get to 07. We're probably not in a great place going into 07. Everyone was dead happy that Brian came back.
Yeah.
Then
he's a brilliant rugby coach, Brian.
Yeah.
I know I'm a prop forward. For me, he was, him and Sean Edwards were the two best rugby coaches that I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
And Brian, I always like him or think about him. He had as much time for me as he did for you.
Yeah.
Although I'm not in his domain, but he'd still talk to me and understanding and want me to progress and get better. He was just...
Was that always from even when he was helping out in 2000?
Yeah, he helped me massively.
Yeah.
My understanding.
So that relationship carried over into 07 when he came in.
But I think people fall into the trap sometimes when, people talk about captaincy and leadership, front row forward. What do they know? And probably got a good point some of the time. But actually as a prop or front rower, your knowledge of the game is pretty good. You might not be able to execute some of the things which can do, but the more you can understand,
you stand up and swear at backs when they drop the ball after you've won it.
But the more you can understand, and the more you can sort of get into your head without actually. I don't want to necessarily know. I'm not there to do it, but I get it and understand it, because if I can save myself time. Understanding, it develops your game and makes you better. And I always say that for me, it was, I'd hate I know I'm not going to be able to do everything, but the thought of you looking up and seeing me and not wanting to pass me the ball, that would
you always want the ball. Whitey, however, would look at you and go, please don't pass me the ball.
Yeah, but
you carry it in so I can hit the ruck.
Yeah, but that for me would have broken me as a player. Just the thought of someone looking at it and going, "Oh my God, don't pass him the ball." That for me was that would have been broken. And Brian was brilliant. And coming back as the boss man and leading it, it was hard. There's a lot of transition. John Wells, Graham Rowntree came in. Wiggy was brilliant. Brought a huge amount of energy, smiles. It was a real breath of fresh air, actually.
Yeah, I also that I never thought, looking back, I thought Brian was a great to be brought in, but then I don't reckon he was ever the head guy. He wasn't made to be the head guy. Because what people don't think about is what comes with being the coach of England is not just what happens on the paddock and what the X's and O's or whatever. It's dealing with the media, dealing with the top end of the RFU, whether that's Francis Barron or whoever was in at that time. And that carries a lot of weight. And I mean, he is only a little man. And I just don't think they got the balance right. Whereas, Clive just let the coaches do the coaching on the field and he dealt with
he kept
everything.
very much
He
that
kept
away.
it, yeah. Whereas I felt when Brian came in, it sort of all crept all in a little bit. And because he's got that brain of how good he is, of understanding the game, and I still sometimes felt you needed someone to drive that forward in terms of put it into a structure for the forwards or whatever. Because he's like, just play what you see. Sometimes that's a exaggeration.
But in fairness to him, though, with having John Wells around, Wellsy was very, simple, straightforward. And actually, they were quite a good. I wouldn't say it was much fun being a forward under Wellsy, but Graham.
Get lower.
But Graham.
Nuggety.
Graham helped, break that up a little bit, but they kind of complemented each other pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how connected they were as styles of play.
I think you've got polar opposites there. Because that's something you go into another captaincy role where you're going into another hostile environment. 2007.
Well, I didn't
Croke
realise
Park.
suddenly it goes to a whole new level of press, of interest, sponsors.
Croke Park in the Six Nations. Obviously, the first time an English team has ever walked out. Like, I remember people, coming to the hotel and explaining to us how bad it's going to be, and how much you're going to get hated, you're going to get booed, you're going to get, we don't know. I think the basic thing was we don't know what might happen here.
Well, the thing is with that, and I have to be careful what I say now because people were killed. On that day in that place, and everything that went with the Black Friday and all those things, and it's just absolutely dreadful. So as captain, I was just so worried about just do not say anything which can inflame something, or and it sounds dreadful, but almost don't speak.
Yeah,
and,
but it was a bit of that, but then. It was an unbelievable day. Obviously, we got spanked, which didn't help. But
when people ask me what special days and things are special moments, of course, there's some amazing things together. Been involved in some spectacular moments, good and bad, but real special moments. That day, for all the build-up for it, I remember doing all the press conferences, and I can remember you find out your captaincy, you find out about suddenly going to press conferences, and no one else wants to come. It's you. You're sat in that room. Hundreds of reporters and a lot of reporters who weren't actually rugby reporters as well. And you find out who your mates are, and it's shit, you stood there trying to bat it off, trying to do whatever. I remember going to the stadium, and I remember having a talk with one of the security guys that you need to be prepared for what potentially is going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I kind of got it. And I remember looking at some graffiti which was written on the stand when we arrived for the final warm team run thing. And I can't repeat what it said on TV, but it wasn't very pleasant towards us and our Queen. Yeah. That day, and I think only rugby can deliver this, it was 80-something thousand people, all the history and the awful acts which happened in that place. When the anthem went up.
Yeah, I can only remember the anthems from that day. I've probably etched out the drumming we got, but...
Absolute silence.
Yeah.
Like, sticky up on arms now.
Yeah.
A little bit. It was truly magical. No other sport in the world could have done that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I've got so much respect for the Irish anyway, because they're just beautiful people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful country, and it's just amazing what they do in the way they are. For them to have done that on that day, I think only in Ireland and only rugby could have done that.
Yeah.
We got absolutely battered.
But it was always going to be an absolute battle, because that's
was.
what Ireland do. If they've got a reason to play and
Yeah.
reason to win,
But they deserved it. We got battered. We weren't good enough. But one of the sad bits of for me, because of my emotion, because I care, the flip side of that is, it's amazing, but actually it hurts. And I remember, I don't know if you remember, in that changing room, there was the main change room, but then there was a couple of rooms off to the side. And I remember getting off the field and going round into one of those rooms, just sat there. I just remember crying. And I remember John Mose coming in, he said, what's up, or whatever it was he said. And I just said, I just feel absolutely, personally, just gutted, like, let you.
Yeah.
And we had a bit of a man moment. He's a good bloke, John. He's a good human being. And I remember him saying that you don't have anything to be ashamed of. You couldn't have done any more, or whatever it was. And it's funny that of all the things I don't remember anything about the game, but I remember the anthem and I remember that bit.
Yeah. No, the anthem was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think still to this day it's probably the best sort of experience.
If you said to me if I had to replay one moment, if I could go back and be in the moment, that would be the moment that I would want to go back to and just feel again.
Yeah.
More than anything, it's just such a special thing.
If we jump forward to 6 months later, and then you're now captain going into the 2007. Didn't start very well, let's be honest. 36-0. What was the journey like, and how much did you have to adapt on the fly on that? Because there were as soon as you lose 36-0 to South Africa, press have sort of semi-turned on you already.
Well, we were struggling going in because it wasn't over. I think we played France a couple of times, didn't we? And it wasn't overly convincing, but we were doing all right. The team was a bit all over the place. Transition again. We're on a journey type stuff. But for me personally, forget the team bit. The opening game against America. I got banned for 2 games, so I'm out of it then. So I'm England captain. Get banned. Go to the stade. Watch us get thumped 36-0. It's Armageddon. Whole world's against us. All the press are against us. It is the most negative, horrendous place to want to be.
Yeah.
You've got players and bits and pieces being said. Some people are off tour, on tour. And bear in mind, we're the defending champions. We're supposed to be defending our trophy. It couldn't have been further away from 4 years previously. Everything's meticulous. 20-odd game winning streak. Went to New Zealand, beat the All Blacks. Australia on the way home, beat them. Come home, prep into camp, off we go. It couldn't have been more different. And to say it was lonely and hard was a real understatement. And I think what's not talked about enough is, I was England captain, but it was actually about going back to almost when we talked originally about the Argentina thing. There was a group of players there who decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
Martin Corrie, warrior really, People can argue, was he a very good player? I don't care.
Because you want to go to battle.
Immense. So
because what was that? How did that sort of manifest itself? That shift from because obviously you hear great like Jason Robinson rehab to get his hamstring back.
I was on that pitch at the start. Jason tore his hamstring and came off the field to a standing ovation because everyone knew that was going to be the end of him. And it was just incredible. And
shout out to Paskey and Barney.
Oh, Paskey and Barney, but Wilco done his ankle, I think it was.
Yeah.
But that guy was getting up through the night every 2 hours, ice, the physios, every 2 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get him back fit.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible the heroics behind the scenes of physios and people and players who stood up to be counted. Andy Gomersall was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because he's gobby. But
Did the players Did the players make the shift? Or had Ashley lost the players, or did the players just go, "We need to do this differently," and he rolled
I
with
think
it? Because there's always been mixed stories about.
Yeah, well, I think there is mixed stories, and even to this day, I think people will perceive it. It's like the same thing, Mike. You know, we've been in enough teams and enough environments to go, what means to you means to me can be totally different things.
Yeah.
And you say, I remember we had this meeting and whatever it was, and you know that's what it meant to me. And I'm like, well, it didn't mean that to me. I was all right about such and such, and I remember us having this, you know, the clear the air meeting, and you know we need to do something, and us all getting together. I remember Brian talking about game plan and what it is we want from game plan. Because were you there?
No, I broke my leg, so I wasn't there.
Yeah, you done your knee.
I broke my leg.
Someone got up and said something. It might have been Josh or whatever it was, and you know, everything sort of all got a bit emotional. People ranted a little bit, and my recollection of it is more along the lines of, you know, when you're sat in a room and someone goes, yeah, but such and such, such and such. Yeah, but I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, right. When I say such and such, that means we're going to go, oh, right. And then the conversation's had, and really from that sort of everyone...
Just actually communicating properly.
Yeah, and getting the stuff off the chest and probably carrying things that actually had nothing to do with that, but it just helped.
And then getting those performances, obviously smashing Australia.
The atmosphere was just incredible. And really, that was the catalyst. We had nothing to lose. We're going to throw everything at it, and we blooming well did it.
Yeah.
And we deserved it. And then suddenly, you're into a semi-final, and we're against France.
In France.
And it's kind of like, wow. We played France semi-final 0-3, and I think in France again, in France, the home country, home stadium, Raf Ibanez, captain, no Raf with being at Wasps.
Wasps, yeah.
So Raf, I wanted to test, but what a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
Incredible bloke. Brave.
I don't think there's anyone you ever say that you detect.
But brave and lovely guy, do anything for you, would be there in the trenches for you. So someone I respected so much. And I remember, I know we're going off, it's not necessarily about leadership now, but it does make a difference to me. We're talking about leadership. We got to the stad, and you know, the bus, you go into the stadium, you walk in through the door, and it's down the tunnel, left-hand side. The away change room is this side of the tunnel, and the home change room is the other side. And as we walk in, we walk past the away change rooms. And I said, no, Viv, our team, I said, no, we're in here. She said, no. She said, the stadium, that has to be neutral, even though it's France and it's home, and we flipped a coin, we're the home team. Yeah. So we got changed
in the
French change room. So straight away, I'm thinking mind games now. I'm thinking, imagine being Raf Ibanez, France captain.
This is your John O moment in where you're going to stand on the wrong side of the pitch.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, this is it. This is our moment. And then this is going to make you laugh.
Did you shake down your bonjour?
This is how stupid it is. So when we go down for the captains, the thing come down for the captains chat talk thing beforehand, down in the middle of the tunnel, referee, I'm thinking, well, I walked out our change room door, I am eyes lasered on Raf Ibanez, boy. There is not anything that is going to take my eye contact away from him. And bear in mind, I'm 25 yards away at this time. I'm walked all the way, staring. Referee's talking, and I'm still staring. I don't know whatever he's talking about. I'm still staring at him. Do you know what? He didn't look at me.
Yeah, and you're like, I've got you.
Oh, yeah. I got you, sunshine. I bloody well got you. Right. God save the Queen. Liz, girl. Lizzie, girl. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to do this today. So I'm angry now, so I'm fired up. I'm fired up now, but I was fired up then. Get back in the change room. I know if we're going to win this, we've got to scrum forwards. Forget the backs. We got to take them on, take all their emotion. It sits in their forward pack. Andrew Sheridan is one of the strongest, most powerful human beings I've ever met. But when he doesn't want it, can be a little bit wetty. So I've gone up to him. I won't tell you exactly what I said to him, but I said to him a few things which I probably shouldn't have said, and they're a little bit hurtful. He headbutted me and split me open, and I've got blood. He's probably split me. And if you look at the TV when we go out in that game particularly, it's not on the, whatever, it's on the Channel Plus or Canal Plus or whatever it is. You can see, then of course Kempy, Doc, he's got Vaz trying to stop the blood flow.
That puts it in your eye, probably.
So I walk out, and literally within 10, 15 seconds of me doing it, and Cher's headbutting me, knock on the door, England out. And I walk out the door, I've got blood down my England shirt with a ball, having just been headbutted by Andrew Sheridan. We go out, do our bit, anthem, went up. Andrew Sheridan absolutely destroyed that French back with Mark Regan on that day. And we beat France. Josh Lucy, absolutely, I can't remember who it was, smashed somebody early on.
He's so good at that, though.
Brilliant. And we beat France in France, in their home stadium, to go to the final. So I don't know what that's got to do with leadership. But there's combinations of, going back to that.
But that's the same thing. You said you're not often confrontational, but yeah, it's obviously different because you understand what it takes to be a prop in that situation against French at home who want to get their tails up. And, it just shows that you still need to, when you need to give someone a razz up.
You've got to give it.
And it worked.
And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And the final was obviously a step too far for us. But we gave it everything we got. Couldn't have done any more. And the thing for me is, so going back to the original point, which I said, like giving your best and best effort and can't do anything more. As disappointed as I was and as gutted as I was, I've been on that pitch at the end and watching the South Africans. And John Smith particularly, it's going to sound a bit weird now. If I had to give it up for somebody,
he's not a bad one to give.
He's someone that I didn't mind getting it.
Yeah.
Because he's a good human being, played against each other loads, got so much respect for him. Yes, I'm gutted, but to hand over, we defended. The thing I'm most proud of, we defended our trophy to the very end.
Yeah.
We defended it. Decided. So you had a group of people there who decided to do something about it. And we could have easily have gone home and not done anything about it, but we didn't. That I feel most proud of. Not saying nothing to do with me. I'm proud of the players.
Obviously, being prop, like South Africa, obviously are very similar. They pride themselves on their forwards.
Yeah.
Is that your biggest contest in those games? Because I remember all our South Africa games, early 2000s through, always brutal, weren't they? Yeah. But you've got then you throw in an Osdurant, you throw in a beast, you throw in.
Yeah. Well, I think the ultimate test
is each prop. Is it always a very different battle?
And you always have good and bad days. But I think the ultimate test against the South Africans is just because of the emphasis, and even today, the emphasis which is put on the
physicality,
set piece is tremendous. Rugby has changed, Michael. And the way it's coached has changed. The way we talk about it has changed. Everything's changed. Scrum, line out, defence, discipline. Get yourself a big scrum. Who are the most successful team in the world and have been for quite a few years now and continue to be and have won the most? South Africa. What have they got?
The Ox.
Big scrum. The game's changed.
Yeah.
The game's changed. It's a different game now. It's basic stuff. But the thing with the Saffers is not just the scrum and the emphasis they put on it and that pride and the passion. It's all over the field.
Yeah.
They don't want to run around you, although they can. They want to run through you. I want to hurt you. Hear you break something, trying to stop me. That makes them happy.
Yeah.
You find out your real, true self when you play against South Africa.
Still love it.
Yeah, because it's.
I can keep seeing the highlights of that. Is it 0-2 where we smashed them? But Colin Krieger was just running around.
It was dreadful.
Nothing. Oh yeah, you got.
Yeah, I got.
Was that in the back?
Yeah, it's brutal, horrible.
Yeah.
But you find out who you are.
Yeah.
You find out who your mates are. You find out who real, true rugby players are on days like that.
So obviously after Australia and then France, did you give yourself a little sort of little dream moment of where you were lifting the trophy? Had you figured out what Jono had done wrong in 03 in terms of his facials, and then you were thinking, had you allowed yourself to dream that much, or? This is a yes. This is a yes. Definitely dreamed.
I think
there's a lot of thought going into this answer.
I struggle to talk about it because it makes me a bit weird. But I think when you get so close to something, you can touch it and feel it, smell it and see it, and you physically could not give any more and ask any more of any of the players or people. If you could have sit in the physio room before that final game,
everyone just gets patched back together.
Martin Corey had more tape on him than a tape machine. He was just hung together. He still moved, I don't know. Brave, warriors, Wilco, what he'd done. There's so many other guys who you don't get talked about, and you just look around and you go, my God. And the reality is I'm sat here as as me. Forget all the stuff which has happened. I'm a World Cup winner, and I'm a World Cup losing final captain. You're a millimetre away, but you're a million miles away. No one remembers that game. No one cares how close you were. Was that try? Was Mark Cueto's try a try? Would it stand today? Does it matter? Would it have changed your life? Yes, but it didn't. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword of, it is what it is. But I couldn't.
It is what it is, but it isn't what it is. Also.
Yeah, it's a hard one. I'm just proud of that. There are things and memories from that which far outweigh from 03 as far as moments that I will cherish and I'll take to the grave with me, from people and looks and moments and smiles and tears and laughter and nerves and all the things which we love and hate about the game. That tournament was just very, very special, with a very, very special group of boys that 95% of them people won't remember.
Yeah.
And don't care.
So you did dream of lifting. You practiced, hadn't you?
I've never practiced anything. The one thing I can guarantee you, I would not have done that horrible face thing that Jono did. That's for sure.
Now we jump forward. 08 is your last game as skipper, but you always seem to get the turbulent games. Because I think it was before so Danny Sips was coming in and he'd been out, and then he'd been reported that he was out drinking, and should we drop him? Should we not drop him?
Well, he wouldn't be out reported drinking. He was photographed.
Yeah.
Was he drinking? Might not have been. But I remember Brian, calling me and saying, "Well, what should we do?" Well, what can you do?
Yeah.
And I remember Sean Edwards got absolutely bonkers at me because you shouldn't be dropped. You shouldn't be, what? And I said, well, you can't have standards. How can you have standards? How can you say one thing to one another? Danny Cipriani, I'm very lucky about Watson seeing coming through. I don't think I've really ever played with anybody with any more talent and ability and natural ability than Danny. It's incredible. Everything that I'm not, incredibly good looking.
You were very good in the open field.
Incredibly talented, naturally gifted, found things easy, but he worked hard as well, to be fair to him. He worked hard at it as well. And I watched this kid grow up. I've won a European Cup with him.
Yeah.
He's 18 or 19 or something stupid. And he stood on the field, 80,000 people, European Cup winner. And it's like, water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Not an issue, not a problem at all. I waited all my life for that, But that game, he was just sensational.
Yeah.
Everything clicked, everything worked brilliantly. We played fantastically well. It was simple, it was straightforward, and yeah, a wonderful game to have been part of, particularly coming off the back of previous experiences, particularly against Ireland, because they were beginning to set the standards and a good rugby team. So it was, and at the time you don't know it's your last game.
Yeah.
I suppose, actually, to be fair to him, he did apologise to me afterwards, quite a long time afterwards. I remember having a phone call from Jono when he took over, and said, I don't want you to, you're not going to be my captain. But I didn't know that was going to be my last, game captain. I don't even know what my last game for England was. Someone asked me that the other day, and I'm like, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. But you don't know at the time.
Yeah.
But actually, when John rang me about about the captaincy, and he said about it, he always apologises to me about it since, because he said I should have come and seen you face to face. Special times, special memories. I feel very blessed to have been able to achieve and do, and some of the environments and some of the moments. And I think you've heard me say this 1,000 times, and it happens on a weekly basis, Michael, wherever I am, whatever situation I'm in, sometimes more, sometimes less. People do not come up to me and talk to me about a rugby play, or I remember when you did this, and Mike Tyndall had done an unders line where Will Greenwood ran the outside with a short ball to such and such. And we affected people's lives. And they would say to you, I remember where I was. Big George sat in the corner wearing his favourite red jumper. Mum was getting giggly on the Prosecco. Dad was such and such. We had a stew in the middle of the table, and blah blah blah. And little Charlie, the kids were doing such a. It's a moment, and we've created a special little moment with people. And I think that for me is what rugby, and the privilege of what we did. Yes, we've got memories together of things which we've achieved, and which is bloody brilliant. But to affect people's lives, I think that is an absolute privilege, and that's the gold. That's the magic of what we did. That's the magic of playing sport at all levels. The rugby is the reason that you come together, but the memories are about the people, the friendships. I met such and such.
So a lot of kids who had formed different bonds with their dad over that World Cup, and then obviously it sort of.
But we
do you think we powered the next generation of dreams?
Well, I'd like to think we inspired a lot of people. I'd like to think we inspired a lot of people to know what is achievable, because the reality is, before we did 2003, I've been at dinners with the 66 footballers. And that was it. You see, like, we just sat here today and seeing what the girls are doing with the football.
Yeah, and hopefully our ladies in.
Yeah, hopefully the girls
stay there.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx.
We'll stay the course.
Don't want to jinx it, but what they could do, it inspires people. Not just people who play sport or play rugby. It just inspires people, because it's good news. It's like, wow, we don't put enough value in that bit of our game, because we talk about. It's a little bit like talking about rugby. So we spent all our time now, not all of it, but talking about elite professional rugby, which is bloody awesome and brilliant. 98% of our game is Minchinhampton Rugby Club, Bude Rugby Club, Stroud, Matson, Coney Hill, volunteers, people giving up time, sacrificing.
They were all back moves, Coney Hill.
Do you know what I mean?
You didn't know that though.
But that's our game. That's our people. That's what I started playing. And that's what our game is made of. And that for me is the special bit of it.
Well, thank you, Philip, because it's been an absolute privilege for me to sit here and have rugby chat, which I'd never have with you if we were having a beer. We'd be chatting about other stuff. But no,
actually, we don't think we ever talk about rugby, do we?
No. If you haven't already done so, please go back and listen to our inspiring stories of Karen Ellman and Sarah Hunter, who have both managed to lift the big one for England. Sarah is now assistant coach of the Red Roses and hoping to lead them to victory again this year. The likes of Skaz and Mo, they've been there, done it, they've seen it, so I'm sure they don't need any advice from us when they rock up to Twickenham with 80,000 people. Come on, the Roses, let's get this done. Phil, as always, it's a pleasure being in your company. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, and I know I'm going to be buzzing for the rest of the day. But that is what a Diary of a Captain is about, celebrating the power of dreams. You've lived your dream, you've inspired other dreams, you've talked about both of them. But thank you to Honda for making this series possible. Please stay in touch, drop some comments in, we'll get back to you. But thank you for tuning in.